dynamic dust shield. So what y'all are seeing on the screen here are those positions in the Mission Operations Center, and we'll see those light up as they give their go or no-go
Welcome, ladies
commands.
and gentlemen.
And on our screen right now, we are seeing our flight director, right?
That's right. So that's Charles right there. He's our flight director for this mission.
Blue Moon mission to the moon.
All
We will
count on
be
ops.
landing on the moon
Complete.
in
GNC
about
verify step
5 minutes time.
46.4.
Right, everything continues to remain nominal as we stand by for that go, no-go pull.
All count on up. VNS is reporting position covariance below 50 meters.
And that VNS is our vision navigation system.
Thermal state is 11. We will be starting PDI at 97% state of charge.
All consoles, flight on ops. PDI cannot be aborted if the lander has transitioned to descent critical.
We're coming up to 20 kilometers above the moon surface.
Our power descent initiation, go, no-go pull, starting with payload.
Go.
Com.
Go.
Ground software.
Go.
Flight software.
Flight software's go.
AVI.
AVI is go.
VNS.
VNS is go.
GNC.
Go.
FIDO.
Go.
Prop.
Go.
TCS.
Go.
Systems.
Go.
C.
Go.
FC.
Go.
All consoles, Blue Ghost lander is a go for power descent initiation.
And y'all heard it
Count
from
on
Charles.
ops, 3 minutes remaining until power descent initiation.
We are go for the power descent initiation. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to tune into our Mission Operations Center as the team monitors the vehicle and prepares for that final descent.
Now there are some of those visuals that you were describing earlier in the show, Bridget. So we can see our countdown clock where we're about 14 minutes, just almost under 14 minutes from landing. And we have that visualization of Blue Ghost as it's continuing its horizontal trajectory, getting ready to get into that vertical mode.
Exactly. And so, like we said before, that's real telemetry that's driving that simulation y'all are seeing on your screen here. That yellow vector you see off to the left, that's pointing in the direction of the sun. And that blue vector there is the direction of the earth.
And we see those footpads as well as all of the engines in this image. So really exciting to see our MOC, our Mission Operations Center, as well as that data-driven telemetry.
Really exciting times. It's very interesting because can you see the distance above the surface?
If you are just
fluctuating from 20 kilometers to 21 to 23.
With that 2-minute call out, if you are just joining us, this is the NASA Firefly joint broadcast for Blue Ghost Mission 1 as part of the agency's Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative. We are standing by as PDI process and procedures do continue. Just as a reminder to those of you who are tuning in, the graphic visualization that we do see is has about a 15-second delay, and we did cover that at the top of our broadcast. So just as a reminder, there is that 15-second delay. So we may actually hear that call for landing before the data does get there, but we would like to point that out and keep that in mind as we continue to follow along.
That last call out you heard was propellant settling, so we actually use these ACS thrusters that will
60 seconds to PDI.
That'll help settle that propellant, so the propellant's where it's needed to in that fluid system for ignition.
So exciting.
It's all systems go. There is no going back. We're about to land on the moon.
Fun fact, we actually use those ACS thrusters on our Alpha launch vehicle as well.
You know all about propulsion and engines. It's fascinating. I'm learning so much today.
30 seconds to PDI.
And there you see a couple folks on console. So that is Raj and Will Adams. So they are supporting on TCS and prop. So propulsion and thermal control systems.
10 seconds to PDI.
That's stand by and tune in to Mission
7,
Ops.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So
What a
the lander
hard
is
break.
performing that
Hard
9-minute
break,
powered
isn't it?
descent initiation using
Wow.
all of its engines to reduce.
We're coming up to 10 minutes.
And you can see that on the simulation right there with
Main
the
engine
engines
on.
going.
Exactly.
Main engine is
Wow,
on.
look
We
at
see that
Descent
Braking
critical.
hard. Braking hard.
call
All
outs
consoles,
going on.
flight on ops, and abort is no longer possible.
An abort is no longer possible.
Right, teams have been practicing for this moment, and we see that taking place right now. And this
Exciting
is
time.
where the lander is positioning itself closer and
Ignition
closer.
temperature's nominal.
18
call
kilometers above the moon surface.
Guidance mode D'Souza, 48.1 confirm.
We heard that
18.51.
D'Souza guidance.
Attitude and rate errors look like they converge back to nominal after the transition.
Traveling at 5,806.
Draw is nominal.
Well,
Tank pressures are stable. Prop is nominal.
5,585 kilometers
this
per hour.
VNS is stable, nominal.
About 9 minutes.
We're coming up to 10
Navigation
minutes
filter
before
is well
touchdown.
behaved.
All
love when
systems
things are well
go.
behaved.
All systems go. Live
Call that
on the
comm is stable as
Firefly
well.
Aero Mission headquarters in
Comms link is
Austin,
stable.
I believe.
It's during this burn where we were going
All con ops, 9 minutes remaining to pitch over. 455 kilometers south of the target, 16 kilometers above it.
We're reducing our velocity down to 40 meters per second in this burn. And so on that gauge, what you'll be looking for is about 144 kilometers per hour.
And just as folks are tuning in right now, our PDI is actually that braking burn. So we're continuing to slow our speed down and bring the vehicle from a horizontal configuration or horizontal orbit into a we're pitching over the lander into a vertical configuration.
Exactly. All of our RCS engines are firing at a mid to high throttle here in the anti-velocity direction to slow us down. We're shedding all of that horizontal velocity like you're saying.
Eight minutes remaining to pitch over. 370 kilometers south of the target, 17 kilometers up.
So 1 minute completed of that 9-minute braking burn.
Attitude and rate errors remain nominal.
Alcon and Ops, VNS is passing over a shadow.
And so what you guys see on the screen here is that graph taking us through all of the different phases into landing. We are in that power descent initiation.
VNS is past the shadow and returning to lower covariance.
Main engine temperatures continue to rise nominally.
How are you feeling?
Excited, nervous, anxious. Lots of feelings.
7 minutes to pitch over. 290 kilometers south, 16 kilometers up.
GNC flight on ops, verify 48.2 when ready.
We'll go.
So we are seeing our various folks in the Mission Operations Center that are continuing to follow along during this braking burn called Power Descent Initiation, or PDI. All operations continue.
Engines trimming out, target achievable, 48.2 confirm.
Batteries at 92%.
In the front left of the room there, where the camera's pointing, you're going to see that's 100% of those teammates with us from ASI and Space NG. So you're seeing folks from ASI, GNC1, GNC2, FIDO. You got Space NG with Vision Navigation Systems.
6 minutes remaining until pitch over. 222 kilometers south, 15 kilometers up.
All right, we can hear that number.
VNS is crossing over the final ridge as we enter the Marquisium.
We're getting closer and closer to our landing site, Mare Crisium, on the northeast part of the moon. on the side that faces us here on Earth. Now there is a NASA console position
Helium
as
pressure
well.
and temperature are inbound.
That's right. They're on the opposite side of the room, probably in the corner the camera can't see right here.
And that's to conduct all of the 10 payload surface operations over the course of the next 14 Earth days or 1 lunar day.
That's right.
And I think that's Farah,
Navigation
That is
filter looks
Farah.
nominal, and Star Tracker is still in lock.
So she's sitting in our payload seat. So she is. She's been phenomenal on this
Power
mission,
is nominal.
and she's been with all of the payloads since the beginning.
I remember interviewing her for our podcast, and she was phenomenal. She knows these payloads like the back of her hand.
5 minutes remaining until pitch over. 140 kilometers south, 13 kilometers up.
So Farah's there tracking the health of the payloads and making sure everything is performing as expected.
Absolutely. Yep. And we actually have 3 payloads on site for landing. We have EDS, Lister, LPV. The rest will be remote.
So 3 out of the 10 payload teams are currently near the Mission Operations Center on site, and the remainders have their own control centers in other locations.
And so this is a primary operations
VNS is
center.
seeing drops to validate.
They
Back to
actually,
global.
there's some backup rooms upstairs too for secondary, tertiary, and extra data review. Eyes up there.
So you talked about
4 minutes remaining to pitch over. 110 kilometers south, 10 kilometers up.
And on the screen right now, you see Joseph Marlin and Will Coogan. These are our CEs, our chief engineers. A fun fact, Will Coogan actually used to be a carpenter before he went back to school for his
Sees that
PhD.
we're in validate, so we're not global positioning.
I think having all these varying backgrounds really helps you in your current work. So it's really impressive to see this team coming together. And not only are we seeing the teams in the room, but there are folks that are in back rooms, as you mentioned, that are also supporting this mission
Batteries
today.
at 90%.
Exactly.
So we see that speed has come down.
VNS now sees we're back in global, generating solutions again.
That's 7 kilometers from the surface. That braking burn continues.
Falcon and Ops. 3 minutes remaining until pitch over. 67 kilometers south, 7 kilometers up.
Getting closer and closer to that lunar
System temperature
surface.
still nominal.
Attitude and body rate errors still nominal.
Like we were saying before, the Fireflies, we don't sit still in one position, one role too long, and so we do for sure have a lot of cross-functional teams here.
And there we have our flight director back, tracking this mission. I'm appreciating the call outs. They're easing my nerves a little bit right now too. So that spacecraft, as you can see on the graph right now, is getting ready to continue that braking burn and that pitch over to put it in that
VNS is
vertical.
reporting position covariance below 25 meters.
Two minutes remaining to pitch over. 35 kilometers south, 4 kilometers up.
We are standing by for continuation of that powered descent initiation or braking burn. This is where all engines are firing to pitch
GNC
over.
flight on ops, verify 48.3 we're ready.
That was Charles. Do you know what seat's missing, what subsystem?
What are we missing?
Structures.
Flight laser rangefinder has measurements.
VNS reports position covariance at 10 meters.
It's
1
about
minute
to
remaining
happen.
until
ladies
pitch
and
over.
gentlemen.
13 kilometers south,
Well
2
done,
kilometers up.
everyone. We're coming up to the last minutes. Live from the
We'll actually add in
Firefly
mechanisms and structures
Blue
seat
Power
Ghost
is nominal.
Mission
right after
Control
landing.
in Boston. This
Alex
is
Kaplan
it.
is our
We are
our
approaching
engineer
the
there,
last
and he's
minute.
designed all 3
We
mechanisms
are
on board the
back
lander
on
that
the
we
moon.
also build and test. those subsystems become much more prominent after landing. So we'll see him come in later.
So we do see that graphic come up we talked about a little later with the lander foot pad, so our contact legs will turn.
VNS position variance below 5 meters.
30 seconds remaining to pitch over, 4 kilometers south, 900 meters up.
So those will turn blue once we've confirmed some level of contact, and we'll continue to track as we get closer and closer to the lunar surface over the course of the completion of this PDI. You can see the graphic on the screen demonstrating that Blue Ghost is getting into that vertical configuration and doing that pitch over as expected.
Fan engine off. Terminal guidance. 500 meters up.
Battery's at 87%.
All right, from here on out, it is just going to be those
400
Spectra engines.
meters.
Now, just as a reminder, those Spectra engines that we see firing right now on our
GNC
screen,
and VNS flight on out, certified 49.2 and ready.
they are doing those pulses.
VNS is in relative.
260 meters up.
First redirect occurred, 98 meters from original target.
1 minute remaining in flight.
The vehicle is converged on its commanded descent profile.
All right, so we are in that autonomous phase that you had described to us. She is ready and has been preparing for this.
You're going to hear a lot of call-outs here about vision navigation solutions, laser
Seconds remaining in
rangefinder,
terminal. 100 meters up.
And let's
health
just
systems.
Navigation filter is still healthy.
Second hazard avoidance occurred, 5 meters from previous target.
50 meters up. 30 seconds remaining in flight.
Payload verify 49.4.
Copy. Verified.
11 meters up. Vehicle in
Contact.
shutdown.
3 contact sensors tripped.
Engine shutdown confirmed. Power is nominal, vehicle is charging.
IMU reports lunar gravity and it is stable.
We have landed
Falcon,
on the
Chief
moon.
Engineer on ops.
We have
Go set
landed on the
We're
moon.
on the moon.
How exciting is
Firefly
this?
Aerospace just became the first commercial company in history to complete a fully successful moon
Well done.
landing. Congratulations to the entire team. This is such an incredible feat for Firefly, NASA, our nation, and the world as we
So
pave the way
exciting.
for a lasting lunar presence.
Come on.
congratulations, Bridget.
Perfect
And
landing.
to our Firefly and NASA teams, what a nail-biting moment in history. The joint teams are now celebrating or enjoying this much-deserved celebration at our landing event here in North Austin, Texas. This marks the beginning of the next phase of the mission, surface operations. How are you feeling, Bridget?
Honestly, overwhelmed. I am so proud of our team. Firefly has a way of constantly exceeding expectations. This is a perfect example of that. Over the last 4 years, so many dedicated Fireflies across different teams and disciplines came together to make this happen. Now we have a permanent presence on the moon with every employee's name engraved on a Blue Ghost plaque. So now when we look up at the moon, we can tell our kids and future generations that their family name is up there. Thanks to this team and everything they have achieved, But it's not over. We will be operating the payloads and gathering even more data that will make an even larger impact on the future of space exploration.
Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Now this lunar lander is gearing up to conduct those surface operations and downlink that anticipated image from the lunar surface. So while we stand by for that, we have Tony back with some guests from NASA's Science Mission Directorate. Tony.
So true. One day they will actually get a man on the moon. There's like we've got section.
Welcome.
So we're just waiting for some visuals
Bridget.
and pictures.
Now joining us is Associate Administrator for the Science Mission Directorate, Nikki Fox, and then the Deputy Associate Administrator for Exploration with NASA Science Mission Director, Joel Kearns. Nikki, Joel, I mean, what a momentous occasion. How are you guys feeling?
We're on the moon!
So my question is, what do you think of that Firefly team?
It is such an exciting time. I mean, what a huge congratulations to everyone. Now, Nikki, can you tell us a little bit more about why this landing location was chosen and why, Blue Ghost is on the near side compared to when some other landing sites are chosen for other of our Eclipse flights?
Yeah, absolutely. We choose, I'm sorry, I'm just so excited right now, but we choose our landing sites very carefully. Our Eclipse landers will go to the South Pole, to the near side, to the far side. This one in this really perfect location. We want to study the geological features on the moon. We want to study the interaction with the solar wind. We want to just learn more about the regolith. We want to be able to prepare for our future astronauts to go and keep them safe. And so we chose the science instruments perfectly to go to this incredible place on the moon.
That we did. And Joel, this is the most NASA science that we have sent on Eclipse flight thus far. Can you tell us a little bit more then? What is the primary goal, or what are we hoping to find then with all of this?
So we're landing in a place that's of great scientific interest, but it was also in a very achievable place to land. And there are studies that range from studies of the sun that we'll conduct from the surface of the moon, studies of the abrasive dust of the regolith. We're going to drill into the surface. We're going to pick up regolith. It was going to answer so many questions over this one lunar day long mission. It's going to be really one for the history books.
That's right. And speaking then about all those questions that we're going to answer, Nikki, tell us, what then of the science and data that we learn on the moon, how can that help us back here on Earth?
So there are so many ways that, everything we do in NASA science is so interconnected. We study everything from the center of the sun to the edge of the universe. Right now, focusing on the moon, learning more about particularly things like, how that regolith, how it sort of interacts when we land, what the plume looks like, how sticky it is, if we can clean it off those surfaces, just telling us all about that. For us here on Earth, all this technology that we're sending up to the moon continually all has real-world applications as well. And so everything that we do, coming back and serving humanity and inspiring the world with NASA science.
That's right, we sure are. That's really fascinating. Talking more about, some of the scientific instruments that we're sending. As we know, Joel, some of those science instruments have flown on prior Eclipse flights, and they're also scheduled to fly on future ones. Why is that? Why do we choose some of the same instruments for certain flights and different ones for others?
Well, we've only really been to a few places on the surface of the moon during Apollo or even with our robotic surveyor craft from the 1960s. There were a bunch of measurements we really want to take to characterize overall around the moon. Sure, especially the South Pole where our astronauts will go initially. But there are particular scientific questions where you have to take the same measurement on the near side or the far side in a mare, one of these frozen lava pools, as opposed to the Highlands Mountains, to really understand the moon, and based on that to better understand Earth.
I can't wait for that. And, Nikki, talk to us then about some of the lessons learned then that we have, learned from now our other clip slides that were applied for this one or, for the future ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the amazing things about our clips providers is they are all there for one another. Even today, Jason was sharing stories about what some of the other teams have been sending good luck to Firefly today. It is just an amazing community, and that is what we wanted to do with the CLIPS program, was really get this sustainable commercial lunar economy and have it led by American companies, and that's so important to us. As Joel said earlier, we're not doing this as NASA, we're doing this in partnership with these American companies, and so, just seeing the community that we're building is just so amazing, and so just congratulations to everybody.
Yeah, very well put. I mean, to both of you, how are you guys feeling right now that we're on the moon?
I don't know, it's all in a day's work, isn't it? Really, it's, it's a Sunday. No, honestly, it is so amazing. We were standing outside watching it, and Joel was getting instant, feedback from all those amazing people in the mock, and it's just incredible it was just, I don't know, seeing it come down and then you're suddenly like, oh my God, it's 5 kilometers above the surface. And so it's just an amazing achievement. I am so proud of everyone in this room because you all had a part in putting this lander on the moon, whether you're a Firefly or whether you're a family member of a Firefly or whether you're a member of the amazing NASA science team. Congratulations!
And remember, they made it look easy.
Position of our lander and the ground stations on Earth. If the S-band data rate is limited, we'll likely need to switch over to that X-band antenna, which needs to be deployed and calibrated. At that point, we'll plan to share the first image during our press conference in a few hours.
And I don't know about you, but we're on the edge of our seat waiting for these first pictures. How are you, or how does it feel knowing that Firefly is leaving their mark on the moon?
I don't think there's another feeling that even remotely compares to this right now.
I'm sure you've been... So, you know what? I have to ask, because we talked all about the engines. We saw that great visual data telemetry. I know you have something else to show us. Do you have anything else here?
I always have goodies. I always have props.
You did work on our engines.
We love hardware here. Let's take a second here.
We're just doing a quick safety briefing on, or a safety practice on something that Bridget has for us to see today. Oh, this is cool.
It is cool. Oh, let's move this out of the way here. All right, so I love talking about Spectre. This is that 200 Newton hypergol engine. You will notice I am wearing gloves.
Right.
The hypergol propellant is actually a toxic propellant, and while this has been completely decontaminated, we still want to take safety precautions just in case. But yeah, you can tell that so there are, if you want to actually show on that lander, but there are 8 of these engines on the lander. Okay. So we have pairs on each side.
Right there. All right.
Exactly.
Okay, so we see our 8. And those are the Spectre engines that we see right there. Got it.
And then it's a biprop engine, so we have 2 different propellants here.
Okay.
And because it's hypergol, we don't need a third ignition source. They just ignite on contact with each other, which is pretty cool. And these are our Kraken main valves. We love to have fun names here at Firefly. And then it'll go through
You've taught me a thing or two on these engines. I really appreciate that, Bridget. So how are you going to be celebrating this moment with your family, with your friends, with your fellow Fireflies?
I'm going to go home and give my kids a great big hug, first off, and then maybe sleep a little bit. All right, and so while we wait for that photo to come in, we're going to go back and check into the stage with Tony.
Hey, thank you, Bridget. We are now here with Jason Kim, the Chief Executive Officer for Firefly. Jason, congrats on landing on the moon.
Congrats to all of our Fireflies.
How does it feel? How's it? Payloads, that's right. You know, Jason, this is Firefly's first moon landing. What message would you like to give to the team that have worked so hard on this mission?
Well, I'm just in awe of all of them. I've been that way since I, witnessed the company, during their launches, and then finally with this whole campaign. I'm just in awe of all of our Fireflies, and just all the hard work that they put into this, all the extra sacrifices they did from their family and friends. So thank you to all the family and friends. All that design work, all the testing.
Oh, welcome everyone. We're
simulation,
live
it
with
finally paid off, and
we're
just so glad.
Firefly's Blue Ghost mission.
Absolutely, and now
Mission control in
Blue Ghost
Austin.
is finally on the moon. What do you think, or what do you hope that this mission
And we have
means, or this
successfully
message
landed
sends to
back
all
on
the
the moon.
aspiring and future
Back on
engineers
the
and
moon.
scientists that are looking to one day enter the aerospace industry?
And we're just
Well,
waiting
look
for
at
some
everybody in that mission
visuals
control room,
of the
everybody
landing,
at our company.
and then
You don't
I'll
have to
let you
always
get
be a
on with your
rocket
Sunday.
scientist, although we have some great ones at the
Fantastic
company.
times.
We have people from all walks of life, and in that control room, people that started off with music careers or seamstress or welders. They're all from all kinds of careers, and they just landed on the moon. So, we hope this inspires the next generation of kids and STEM, K through 12, because, have them dream big. You never know where you're going to land. We just landed on the moon. So, we hope that the Fireflies today inspired a whole generation.
That's right. There's space for everyone in space.
That's right, and especially in Texas.
It was discussed earlier, Firefly not only develops lunar landers, but you guys also build and launch rockets. Can you tell us a little bit more about what else is in store for the Firefly team?
Well, right after this, we're going to get ready for our first launch of the year. We're going to launch our 1-ton rocket called Alpha. It's America's rocket, and we're going to launch Lockheed Martin's LM-400. It's their mid-class satellite. It's a beast, and we're just honored to launch that satellite. And we're going to launch multiple times this year. Things like Victus Haze for True Anomaly, and there's other Space Force missions that we have. So we're going to continue to launch at cadence, and then we're delivering our
Can we get another cheer from the crowd? Awesome. All righty, well, we'll go ahead and send it back to our hostess, to Nilofer and Bridget.
I'd just like to
Thank
correct.
you, Tony, and thank you,
I
Justin.
implied that
Congratulations
mission
once
control was
again.
in
If you
Boston.
are just joining us,
It seems like I made a mistake.
ago,
It's actually in
Firefly became
Texas.
the second American commercial company to touch down on the moon with its Blue Ghost lunar lander. Now, we're standing by right now for that first moon image, which we expect in the next 15 minutes or so. So while we wait, Bridget, do you mind giving us a little bit of a preview on what's next for this mission?
Yeah, sure. So this is going to be the beginning of our surface operations. Within the next 2 hours, Blue Ghost will perform surface commissioning in order to activate each subsystem and perform health checks. We'll also deploy and calibrate that X-band antenna that we spoke about earlier. That's going to increase our bandwidth and begin downlinking HD imagery and video. And then following surface commissioning, we're going to begin those 14 days of the payload operations.
Great. So that includes deploying that surface access arm with the lunar planet vac sample, that little vacuum to collect some samples.
Right up there, you can see on the screen. And then Blue Ghost is also going to deploy 4 tethered lunar magnetotelluric sounder electrodes, or LMS, on the lunar surface, in addition to a mast on Blue Ghost's top deck, which stands 2 meters above the lander to help study the deep interior of the moon. We'll also begin subsurface drilling operations with the Lister payload that remains attached to Blue Ghost.
So that will be really great. And after the first image, there's a lot more to come from over the 14 days of surface operations, literally. There's that solar eclipse that the team expects to capture on March 14th, where the Earth blocks the sun from the moon's surface. And then we also have a few days later to capture that lunar sunset we discussed early on in the broadcast, but that is expected on March 16th, where it will verify that dust levitation phenomenon that was seen at the last Apollo, when the last Apollo astronauts were on the moon during Apollo 17.
Exactly.
And so finally, Blue Ghost is expected to operate for some hours into the lunar night as well. So it means that there's still so much to look forward to during this mission. I'm really excited.
Me too. And so while we continue to stand by for that first moon image, we're going to go ahead and check back in with Ray, who was just in the Mission Operations Center with the Firefly team during that impressive landing.
Hey, thank you, Bridget. Joining us once again is Ray Allensworth, Firefly Spacecraft Program Director. Ray, I mean, how you feeling? What an awesome time.
Oh my God, we did it!
That's amazing!
My heart's beating so fast.
I know, I can see that. It's so exciting. Yeah. You know, you were just in Firefly's Mission Operations Center. Can you tell us how everyone was feeling in that moment, what it was like?
It was so quiet for just like, I mean, it was like a 9-minute burn, 12 minutes, like getting, through PDI, pitch over, and then you just hear these 4 call outs. And I think I'll just forever hear like our chief engineer Will's like voice, like we successfully landed on the moon, and then just everybody kind of lost their minds. I'm sure y'all did too. Yeah.
We sure did. It was great. Now Blue Ghost is on the moon.
Yeah.
What's the team doing now?
So they're all business again, so I had to leave because I couldn't keep it together. So they are immediately going into health and safety, and then it's really just immediate into payload ops. So we landed at the beginning of the lunar day, and we want to maximize as much of that time as possible for all the payloads. So they will immediately dive into that, and really these first 3 days after landing are going to be just jam-packed. Just try to get every single payload op going that we possibly can.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about those surface operations and now kind of some of the most exciting moments that we can look forward to while Blue Ghost is on the moon?
Yeah, so I like to say that when we land on the moon, I think the lander kind of comes to life. The Lister drill will go down, the surface access arm will deploy, we'll have probes coming off the side of the lander, so a lot of different payload ops, but there's also a couple other phenomena that we'll see on the surface. So we will witness an eclipse while we're on the surface, and then at sunset, we expect to see this kind of phenomena where the dust levitates off the surface. So that we'll try to, we will photograph and video all of that.
That is so cool. You know, when it was being discussed earlier, that lunar sunset, I think we were all like, wait, what? What are we going to be looking at? Exactly. No, I love that. You know, this, as was mentioned, isn't going to be the only lunar mission for Firefly. Can you tell us a little bit more about the upcoming ones, what we can expect, how those will look?
Yeah, absolutely. So Blue Ghost Mission 2 is well underway. We're moving into the integration phase of that mission. That mission is really special because it's not just a lander, but it's also our Electra vehicle that's going with it. So that'll help get it to lunar orbit. And then once we deploy Blue Ghost in one of our NASA payloads, that will actually act as a comms relay. So that is, you know, far past CDR in integration, getting ready to go. And then we just did our kickoff for Mission 3. So we're gonna be pretty busy for the next couple years.
Very busy. I mean, and you know, you just mentioned for the next lunar mission, you have to use, it's not just going to be the lander that you're sending, you're also using the orbiting spacecraft, the Electra vehicle. Tell us how that works, why it's needed, you know, for Blue Ghost Mission 2.
Yeah, so Blue Ghost Mission 2, we have a lot more payload mass, but also we're deploying a fairly large payload lunar pathfinder into orbit. So, you know, the transfer stage will get that whole stack to lunar orbit once we deploy from the launch vehicle. And then it deploys LP, and then again, it's staying as a comms relay, so it'll be on the far side. So we're really designing that vehicle to be able to operate for 5 years. So it's a pretty robust vehicle, and it shares a lot of heritage from the lander.
That's really cool. I cannot wait for that one to get underway. And as you mentioned, you know, the second mission, that's going to go to the far side. Are there any challenges or any differences, I guess, with landing, you know, right now on the near side compared to now for the next one that's going to be a different location?
I think we know less about the far side. So, you know, we had a relatively good amount of data for our specific payload site for Mission 1. You know, we're landing equatorial far side on Mission 2. A little less familiar with that area, but really, it's really well suited for the payloads because
Moments ago, Firefly successfully landed on the moon at 2:34 a.m. Central Time. The Blue Ghost lunar lander safely touched down in Mare Crisium, delivering those 10 NASA science and tech instruments. Now, we should just give a heads up that we do expect another image, or their first image rather, to come through in approximately the next 30 minutes. We are standing by for that. But let's talk a little bit more about what to expect and what took place over the course of the landing. So let's take a look at that incredible landing. Now that we're on the surface, we're, like I said,
Payload verify 49.4.
I mean, straight off, the obvious question is, why so long for the pictures? Come on. You know, we promised 10 minutes for the picture. Now we're saying 30 minutes. But anyway, what has been captured that they don't want us to see? Now, of course, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but where's the fucking picture? It seems to be it was a successful landing.
Shutdown.
We were promised a picture within 15 minutes, and now it's gone up to 30 minutes. We got big dick problems in the chat room. I pronounced that wrong. So we got big dick problems in the chat room. I want to talk to you, man to man.
Y'all select the landing. We're on the moon.
Wow. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Firefly
Talk to me.
Aerospace just became the first commercial company in history to complete a fully successful moon landing. Congratulations to the entire team.
I don't think
This
now
is
is the
such an
time
incredible feat for
to discuss
Firefly,
anything
NASA,
other than
our
the moon
nation,
landing.
and the world
I'll
as
get
we
back to you,
pave the
Big
way
Dick.
for a lasting lunar presence.
Congratulations, Bridget. And to our Firefly. So now we're on the surface and we're standing by, as I mentioned, for that first image, which should be ready in just some moments. But Blue Ghost is on the moon for the first time. And we know that image won't be the same quality that we've seen over the course of this mission or while it was in transit. And that's because she's just getting settled in her new home and getting all of the comms and things sorted out. Teams have been working towards this moment and will continue to stand by as we anticipate that image. We also want to check back in with Tony, who's with Chris Colbert. Tony?
Thank you, Nilofer. Joining me is Chris Colbert, manager for NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative. Chris, I mean, what a time to be alive.
Woo! We did it! Congratulations, Firefly. Awesome job.
That's right. Now, Chris, can you tell us why it's so important that NASA has the CLIPS initiative and that we have multiple companies sending our NASA instruments to the moon?
So CLIPS was designed to help us learn how to go to the moon. We haven't done it in 60 years, and we're doing it a different way, utilizing commercial companies to get us there. We're using multiple commercial companies because we want to be able to fly a lot of missions relatively quickly. So we're hoping to get lower cost missions at a faster pace, and we just have proof it works. We landed on the moon almost perfectly.
That's right. You know, and speaking of the moon, I guess, why the moon specifically? Like, why was that location chosen for CLIPS as opposed to any other location in the universe?
Well, let's start with the first part is because the moon is close.
Oh, it's interesting that you said almost perfectly.
We can get to it in just
landed
a few days,
almost perfectly.
but it's
So what
also
happened
a
there?
key part
I
of
think
the
there
Moon to
had to
Mars
be a
strategy for
correction
the
because
agency.
they were
The
going to
Artemis
land
program
on a
of getting
rock.
humans back to the
So
moon
they
and onto
corrected at
Mars.
one point.
Starting
But
here with the
still,
smaller
very
landers and
interesting.
letting us learn about the moon is a big part of what CLIPS is for.
You know, on that note, do you think then that CLIPS could one day expand to cover other destinations like Mars?
Well, what I think we're seeing here is that commercial companies are very successful. So we want to take advantage of those capabilities and the growing industrial base in the United States and the American companies, what they bring to the table to allow us to broaden our exploration. It's a key part of the Artemis strategy is to take advantage of commercial companies. And as we just proved tonight, they can do it. They can do it really well.
That's right. You know, now that we have another commercial company on the moon, how does it feel to see this initiative underway and producing results?
It's astounding. This is amazing. I can't say enough good words about the Firefly team. They did just such amazing work all the way through, and that was kind of a picture-perfect landing. Everything worked beautifully all the way through this mission. They knew what they were doing. They solved every problem that came in front of them. This is just an amazing feeling. It demonstrates that what NASA started with 5 years ago can work, that we can utilize these commercial companies at a fraction of our normal cost, and we can get to the moon. We've got another landing coming up in just 5 more days, and 6 more planned over the next 3 years. So we've got a lot of moons coming, and this works.
That's right. I mean, you just mentioned we have another moon landing coming up very shortly. Can you tell us a little bit more about those future CLIPS flights, what we can look forward to and when?
Sure. So part of what we're doing here, Nikki Fox mentioned it earlier, we're helping learn more about the moon, prepare us for taking humans back. So we're flying an increasingly complex series of instruments to the moon and demonstrations of technology to help advance our capability prior to taking the humans there, to make it safer and more productive when they do get there. We'll see those missions scattered out fairly consistently over the next 3 to 4 years as our instruments are matured and put together, and we take advantage of what we learned from these early missions. You've heard a lot today about the instruments on this mission. We'll learn from those instruments and make adjustments to the instruments we fly in the future. And you'll see those spread out over the next 2 to 3 years so that by the time we take humans back, we know a lot about the moon.
That's cool. I'm very much looking forward to that.
No, we've
Chris,
got
you know, thank you so much again for joining us.
we've got this character in the chat
Back to our
called
hostess, Nilofer
Big
and
Dick
Bridget.
Productions.
Thank you
He
both,
seems
and
to be
thank
having
you, Chris,
a
for guiding the entire CLIPS team
he
since
seems to be
day
having a
one.
body
I know
drop.
it's an accomplishment, and I know
Find
that
it
I
quite
am
funny.
not alone as I express gratitude for your guidance.
So
and
yeah, I
support
mean, listen,
over
I
the
was
years. We
hoping
are
for
also grateful
live
for you. Now
coverage,
we
live
do
footage
have something
of
exciting
landing
that
on
we've
the
all been
moon.
waiting for. Do you want to tease the
So
audience a
very
little bit more,
disappointing.
or what do you
We
think?
have that lunar image ready.
Oh,
Shall
we've got the
let's go ahead
lunar
and share
image
that
ready,
with the team
everyone.
here.
All right, you're seeing it here
Fucking
first.
hell. Here we
Look
go.
at that view.
I'm
Look at
feeling
that.
a little bit emotional, and I'm feeling over the moon.
Wow.
Now, when I look up at the
That's
moon
it.
from down here,
It's landed.
I will always remember this exact moment and the fact that Blue
How
Ghost Mission
fascinating.
1 is in the northeast region in Mare Crisium. What
A bit
an incredible
disappointing, to
sight.
be fair. But this is it.
Bridget, can you tell us what we're looking at right now?
Yeah, so this will be one of those cameras on the lunar lander. We're looking at that lunar surface, so you can see the various features of that regolith, the crater, some rocks, and that vision navigation system did such a phenomenal job finding what looks like a relatively flat surface for us to land on. And then obviously you can see some portion of our lander in that image as well.
Now, this is that low quality image we anticipated, but Firefly expects to share more imagery and insights at the upcoming news briefing.
That's right. We'll get that X-band imagery, and then we'll actually also be able to get that video from landing.
Now, before we get ready to wrap, what else is next for Firefly, Bridget?
In the coming weeks, Firefly is scheduled to launch Lockheed Martin's LM-400 satellite on our next Alpha rocket. The Firefly team is also gearing up for our next mission to the moon in 2026. And that mission is part of another NASA CLIPS task order. But this time we're going to utilize a two-stage spacecraft configuration with Firefly's Blue Ghost lander with a stacked Elytra orbital vehicle to support operations in lunar orbit and on the far side of that moon. To learn more about the rest of Firefly's upcoming missions, you guys can always check out fireflyspace.com/missions. And I know NASA has a lot coming down the pipeline too. What do y'all have in store for us?
We do. We are busy. So CLIPS continues to be an example of how NASA is enabling commercial services east region of the near side of the moon.
And that's going to be a wrap for us tonight. We are incredibly proud of what this team has accomplished today. We want to thank you all for joining us. Be sure to tune into the joint Firefly and NASA press conference that's set to begin at 4:30 a.m. Central or 5:30 a.m. Eastern on NASA Plus and Firefly YouTube. We do plan to share our HD imagery we talked about and that descent video during that time. We'll also provide more in-depth updates on the mission ahead.
Well, listen, I must say that was very disappointing. Very, very, very disappointing. What a load of rubbish that was. There was me thinking we're going to have live footage landing on the moon. But what do we get? An absolutely terrible still after 20 minutes. And while they said they got footage of the landing, they didn't show it to us. Why didn't they show it to us? I expect the best thing about this whole event was big dick problems. So I don't know why I was saying big dick productions. I do apologise. Big dick problems coming in. I'm going to expose you, wrong-uns. Yeah, right. Okay. On that very disappointing note, and quite frankly, that isn't a particularly big dick, to be honest. That isn't a particularly big dick. Very disappointing. Very disappointing from Firefly. Thank you ever so much for Justin for popping in. Thank you for Big Dick Problems. And well, I'm lost for words, really. Lost for words.
Grateful, thankful every day. Jaguar life, I'm here to